Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to Arts and Culture Commission monthly meeting. Today is Thursday, April 21st, 2016. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Derhovanessian? Here. Deaver?
Here.
Oshagan?
Yes.
Sahakian?
Here.
Chairperson Sharikian?
Here.
The agenda for the April 21st meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall on April 15th, 2016.
Next item.
Item 2, consent items. At 2A, approval of regular meeting minutes from February 18th, 2016.
Any objections on the meeting? Comments? Report? Any?
No. I'll move to approve. I second.
Second. We have a move and a second. Roll call, please.
Commissioners Derhovanessian? Yes. Deaver?
Yes.
Oshagan?
Yes.
Sahakian?
Yes.
Chairperson Sharikian?
Yes.
Item 3, introductions and presentations. At 3A, Library Arts and Culture events presented by Chuck Wyke, Community Relations Manager.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, staff. I've got a number of fun events here, I think, and I'm going to have a little help from some of our other staff on these events also. I'll start off with Arts and Culture. Sure, Read for the Win. That's our summer reading program for all ages, from preschool to my age, older people. It runs from May 23rd to June 30th at all of our library sites, including the Brand Library. We have great success every year with this. We keep kids reading. We keep adults reading. We have people reading to their children. It's a lot of fun. This artwork in particular was created by one of our staff. This is going to be a good year for us, I think. La Boheme is going to be discussed at the Brand Library on Saturday, May 7th at 2 p.m. This is part of a Los Angeles opera speaker series. They come out to the Brand Library once a month and talk about the current performances in downtown LA. Again, at Brand Library, they have a program called Book Smarts. We will have Adrian Biondo and John Eng talking about some kind of travel books to Los Angeles, I guess you'd call it. They've got a particularly interesting one on modern tract homes of LA. That's at 7 p.m. Thursday, May 20th at the Brand Library. Maxim Velichkin, a very popular and well-known cellist internationally, will be at the Brand Library on May 21st, Saturday at 2 p.m. This is part of the Brand Associates music series. They sponsor an annual music performance series at Brand Library. Just an update on the Central Library renovation. It continues. I'm told we'll have air conditioning within, my lifetime. It's been out for months, so it's a little warm. We're laying concrete. The beginnings of the outdoor plaza are coming together. It's behind that big green fence at the Central Library. It actually looks better than this. This was the framing for the concrete. Now a lot of that work is done. It's really starting to come together. The Brand Associates are sponsoring their 44th annual Works on Paper. What's interesting on this one, besides it being the 44th annual, is that very famous artist Laddie John Dill will be the curator this year. He works in a number of media, and he is a well-known Los Angeles-based artist. So there's more information. You can get it on our website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can call me up. You can talk to our administration staff. We'll be happy to answer questions. We get them a lot. Our hours are a little skewed at Central Library. We actually open to the public at 2:30 in the afternoon. That's about the time the construction crews go home. So hopefully the dust has settled by 2:30 and we can get people in the building. The children's room does stay open, though, because the construction is sort of away from that area. So we're able to invite children and families for programming at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then the rest of the public comes in the afternoon. We've set up a makeshift Wi-Fi cafe out in front of the library, tables, chairs, electricity, and free Wi-Fi. There's a variety of ways we're trying to stay open through this construction, which is expected to finish in approximately 1 year. Now, if I may, we have a very important exhibition at Brand Library, Armenia, and Open Wound, and I'd like to call up one of my associates, Kathy Billings from the Brand Library, and she can tell you a little bit more about that program.
Good afternoon, commissioners. It's my pleasure to be here. I have Tigrana Zakarian, who's the Community Outreach Director for the Armenian American Museum, with me. What we're going to start with today is to show a little video that the Armenian American Museum prepared about the exhibition, and then following that, I'm going to turn it over to Tigrana, and she can talk a little bit more about the exhibition. It opened this past Saturday, April 16th. It was a huge success. We probably had 500, 600 people there. A little bit chaotic, but very successful. Everyone was very pleased, and it's a wonderful exhibition, and it's an opportunity to see something that we won't see again for a long time. So I invite you and members of the public to come. It's open until June 11th. And so we'll see this video, and then Tigrana will speak to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Arts and Culture Commissioners, staff. My name is Tigrana Zakarian, and I am the Outreach Director for the Armenian American Museum. I'd like to start off by thanking the City of Glendale Arts and Culture Department for their partnership. Cindy Cleary, Kathy Billings, and Shannon Curry-Holmes, who is not here. She's the exhibition supervisor at the Brand. As Kathy mentioned, Saturday was a huge success for our community. We had community members from Glendale and throughout Southern California that were able to attend the opening, and it was a bit chaotic in terms of managing everyone, but we were all able to pull together and do it and pull off a great exhibition. So I thank the Brand Library particularly for giving us the opportunity. Throughout the 8-week period, we have programming that's happening on a weekly basis on broader multicultural and social justice issues, one of which will be tonight. It's a panel on contemporary refugee themes. These are our bookmarks that I believe each of you have in person that were designed that are specific for each event that we'll be having, and it's really geared to attract more audiences to the exhibit itself. And the exhibit is traveling from Mexico City, from the Museum of Memory and Tolerance. The two curators are Mexican nationals of Armenian descent, so it's truly remarkable in a country such as Mexico that an exhibition of this stature was produced, and it was the first of its kind to travel to the United States on its international debut, and we hope that the Brand Library will be the first stopping ground for it, but it will continue traveling through various places in North America as well as Latin America. So for those of you who haven't had the opportunity to attend yet, I encourage you to do so, as well as attending our events. This is just a photograph of the ribbon cutting with the archbishops, Mayor Devine, and the curator, Sonia Arakelian, and we have two more as well. There's a group photo of the team on behalf of the Armenian American Museum, the Brand Library, library, the curator, Sonia Rekelian, and the designer, Rodrigo Estrada, that were there on behalf of the Museum of Memory and Tolerance. So it was an exhibition that was created here in Glendale by very special individuals coming together to make something extraordinary happy. And that's the crowd, not to brag, but we were very pleased, definitely, with the attendance on Saturday, and we hope to continue the momentum. And the exhibition is on view presently until June 11th. So thank you for the opportunity to present to you.
And I just want to add that tonight's event is co-sponsored by the Mans and Humanity to Man Committee. So we hope a lot of members of the public will come out for that, not just people who are fans of the exhibition. So I want to give them credit for partnering with us on that. Thank you.
I want to give chance to anybody has any questions or comments.
For years, we have been very busy with different things during this month, and this is one of the phenomenal exhibits that I've seen. Everybody in this city talks about it, and everybody tells everybody else they need to go. To have that many people, to have that creativity the way it is all presented, and to have our staff run that place and handle and manage what was happening on Friday, I am in complete awe. I cannot use words. I even get emotional over that. Fantastic job. Thank you for bringing that kind of an international exhibit to our city. Hopefully that would kind of enhance more of our public communication. It would be good in the form of economics and everything, because so many people visiting, most probably they would spend their time and they would have a better understanding of our city of Glendale. Thank you very much. This is phenomenal. And tonight, as you said, we'll talk about it at the end when I do our comments about tonight's event. Thank you.
I'd like to also congratulate you on the really, really well done exhibit that is not only, it's very different than what the brand usually does, right? This is much more culture, but the whole place was transformed. It was really, really ambitious, and the murals were really well done, and it was multidimensional, architectural artifacts, history, photographs, and done at an extremely high quality museum level. So I really congratulate you on a really, really well done exhibit.
Can I add one more? There's a picture at the end that all these kids, not those who were already tortured and etc., but the orphanage kids who are standing in a big mural. It was so touchy that parents were coming with their kids and have their kids stand in front of that picture and become one with them. I was so touched. It was a beautiful thing to see. Thank you.
Do you want to add something?
I'll just say I serve on the Armenian American Museum Committee, and this was an opportunity. As a commissioner, we know we have great staff, and the staff does all the work. We don't do much of the work in comparison, but this was an opportunity to actually work with the staff hands-on and see it in action. And just credit to Cindy, to Kathy Billings, to Shannon, who's not here today. You are all phenomenal employees and do an amazing job for the city. So congratulations to you all.
Thank you. And I'll just mention on that note that we couldn't have done this without the hard work of the committee, which included Commissioner Sahakian as well as Berj Karapetian and Zavin Kazazian. They worked as hard as we did. So it was really a joint effort, and it's something we can be proud of.
I want to add something to this event. I see this project not only a 2-month project or an exhibition. I see it a hand giving another hand opportunity and bringing the community together. This is an event not just about the Armenian struggle and the genocide. It's about the Glendale community to come together and organize an event that will make a history. This is a beginning of a history that we are exposing to the world. And I'm very honored and happy to see that the community comes in one hand, and that's one. I also want to make sure I thank everybody, from the staff, from the chair mover to the leaders to the everybody that helped establishing and making this event happen. The committee, from the janitorial work to all the way to the top of the writing the letters. This is truly a work of group that are dedicated and to make things a statement more than just an exhibition. And I thank you, everybody. Congratulations, and I'll be taking my time to visit probably twice a week, so make sure that I go through it. Anybody else? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if I may, I'll just show you a couple of the upcoming events that they mentioned, just for the record. Again, tonight, April 21st, 7 o'clock, Global Realities, Local Perspectives. Saturday, April 30th, Commemoration as Public Art. Latino Americans, Empire of Dreams, that's on May 5th. May 14th, you'll meet the curator, Dr. Carlos Antaramarian. Armenian Heritage Virtual Pilgrimage will be May 19th. May 26th, the curator in the spotlight, Armenian Middle Ages. And then into June, Preserving the Past, Building the Future, Museums in a Changing World. And then they will finish off with Cambalache, which is kind of an East LA rock folk group. That's going to be a lot of fun. Interestingly, the day before, on Friday, June 3rd, will be the first of the Plaza Series programs. So they spend all weekend at Brand Library, I think.
Thank you, Chuck. Next item, please.
Skip them? Okay. At 3C, we're skipping B. Mike Fortney's not present for the presentation for ACE Housing.
Okay.
So we're at 3C, Bob Hope Airport Tower banner, GUSD artists.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm back again. I just want to call up some representatives of the Glendale Unified School District. We have an administrator, Jacqueline Scott, who kind of oversees the art contests. Crescenta Valley High School art instructor, Sarah Wiggins, and she's here because two of her students, including the number one chosen that you chose last month, are here, Austin White and Kira Valera from Crescenta Valley High School. Okay.
So thank you again for inviting us back. I'm Jacqueline Scott, and we're so appreciative and really proud of our amazing students. So let me introduce, this is Sarah Wiggins, the art instructor from Crescenta Valley High School. Then we have Kira Valera and Austin White. Austin was based on your rubric that you used. He was grand prize winner, yay, number one. But Kira was our second, yes, congratulations. Kira was our second place. And the third place winner was Lernet Kachadorians from Clark Magnet High School, and she was unable to attend. But the beauty is that while they are ranked, each student has their artwork posted in the Terminal A part of the building. So the artwork from Pasadena Unified, Glendale Unified, and Burbank Unified is there. And I believe Austin's winning artwork will be in January. Have you heard?
Yeah, somewhere.
I think it's in January. So if you are going to be visiting the airport that month, and you see this amazing piece of work on the facade, that is Austin. But I'll let you talk to the students. Congratulations. If you have any questions, you say something. Go for it.
I'd like to say thank you for choosing my art. Oh, come closer. Okay. I'd like to say thank you. I mean, I'm really glad that I won. I mean, it was really nice.
Okay.
Yes, thank you so much for taking your time to even consider us and having this competition.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And does the instructor want to add something?
I'll say something. We weren't expecting to speak, so the kids said, "Are we going to have to say something?" I said, "I don't think so." So I didn't lead them the correct path that time. I've been doing this for a while, and I was telling Jacqueline while we were sitting down that I don't have my kids do a lot of competitions because I don't really think that's what art is about. But this one and the congressional one, I have them do because I think they're community things. The congressional one, I think it's great for them to be able to go and meet the congressman. This one, just like this experience, I've never been to this, they've never been to this. The idea that these kind of things are going on all the time, these boards are sitting, and this is an arts and culture committee, and they're involved in arts and culture, and the exposure that they get by their pieces being put up, I think they learn a lot. They go to the airport commission as well, and they see what happens there. And when their work goes up, I had a student a couple years ago that when his work went up, he was in college by then, and he's immediately Facebooking me and texting me and saying, my work's up, so it really is a very exciting moment. They don't realize when they're working on it, do we have to do that? When they get the excitement of winning and seeing their work and seeing what all is involved and how many people walk through that place and their work is exposed, it is a great honor, and I appreciate the votes that you put in. Unfortunately, you guys don't get to see all the pieces that were put in. You see the 3 selection from the district, but they're good representative of the whole work, and these guys work really hard, and thank you for choosing them.
Thank you. Any comments or questions?
Just very grateful that they take the name of Glendale and Glendale Unified School District to the airport. It is our pride and joy to know that we are in such a collaborative effort with them. You make us proud, not only with your artwork, but with your participation and taking our name all over on top of the tower. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I just want to say that I do get to the Burbank Airport fairly often, and so I'm really excited and looking forward to seeing that changeover and all of the winners in the interior. So, just a personal congratulations as an artist myself, more in the performing arts, but growing up, I know how important these types of things are and how exciting that is. So I hope that you take this as an opportunity to continue with the work that you're doing and continue to make change and follow the things that are important to you in your creativity.
Anybody else?
No,
I just want to mention that thank you very much. Although this is probably a project for you, you might read a book and you need to write a report as your instructor says, that's another book. But in my case, I encourage each one of you, when you have a project to work, give it all your 100%, give it from your heart, and eventually it will pay off. Good for you. Congratulations. Thank you. Well, those are the work, yes.
And the artwork is there. Austin is the history in flight, and Kara is the second painting. And I apologize, Kara, I don't remember the title.
Kara does. I think it was Aviation Throughout the Ages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's correct. Aviation Throughout the Ages, and the last one was that's a portrait of Amelia Earhart, and it was by Lernick Kachadorian, who was unable to attend. Thank you very much, Charles, for getting those up, because that's really amazing artwork. We're just so incredibly proud. Thank you again for having us. We'll see you next year.
Next year,
sure.
yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. All right. Next item, ACE Housing. Are we doing that?
He's not present.
He's not present, so we're going to jump over. Okay.
I think we're taking that item off the agenda.
Okay, we are. All right, so next item is oral communication. Do we have any cards?
No, we have not.
All right, so next item.
Item 5, business agenda. At 5A, informational item. At 1, status update on work plan.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Chair Shrikian, and Commissioners. My name is Sharon Mann Garrett. I am your Principal Administrator for Library Arts and Culture. Really? And today I'd like to update you on the elements of your work plan. I'm also going to invite my colleague, Chuck Wyke, to stand up as needed and chime in on some of these because we've got a lot going on. First of all, here's just a brief overview on all the projects that are going on and the funding. So you have about 10 projects in process right now, and they're funded around $400,000, including new funding from your 2015 to 27 work plan and projects that were held over from your 2013 to 2015 work plan. With that, I'll start to talk about each one of the projects. these are kind of in chronological order of what's going on and what's going to happen first. The first one is Glendale Open Arts and Music Festival. This began as a signature art event that you'd asked for. We selected Glendale Arts of the consultants that submitted for this, and they're well underway in putting together a great festival for you. It's planned to be music performances, art vendors, food, and interactive art programs. It will take place in the Central Park on the 17th of September. Right now, it's in the design and development stages. They're doing their concepts for branding and artwork. The open that you see there on the right is their logo. And they will unveil their concepts and branding and progress to you at our next meeting. They'll come and make a presentation to you. They're also negotiating with a number of potential sponsors. So they've engaged a consultant to help them bring in big money and big excitement into Glendale for this festival. So we're really excited by the progress that they've made.
Could I add to that? Because I was at the stakeholders meeting, or should I do that afterwards?
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So I was at the stakeholders meeting, and I was very happy to hear that they've kind of changed their direction. The direction before was very much kind of what's already been done in terms of music performance and art vendors and things like that. But now they are actually going to create a brand new film that they're going to project on the wall on that building on the corner of Broadway and Brand, and they're really they brought in this new consultant bringing in very new and fresh ideas, as well as a brand new kind of branding that they've adopted. And they are looking to do actually some public art also in that one day, depending on their budget. And so very happy to report that sort of the character of the whole event has changed, and I think to the better and much more in line with the kind of ideas, things that we are looking at also as a city. And so I think it's really good that it's flowing in the same direction.
Additionally, the money that we've funded towards this event has served as seed money for this organization to get other partners. So they're really maximizing your contribution. And it's just a terrific effort so far. The next project I'll talk about is the Glendale Open Studios Tour, which is a project that you all authorized last year. We issued a call to artists or call to consultants to carry out the tour for us, and with the assistance of Commissioner Derhovenessian and Commissioner Deaver and staff, 1111 Creative Collective was selected, and they are now in the contract engagement stages. So we're negotiating with them on exactly what they're to do and the scope of the work. But it's basically a 2-day event where participants get to go and visit where artists work. The dates that we're looking at currently are in early September. We'd like for school to be back in, and we'd like for it to be a really good time for people to go by and see artist studios. The dates that we're looking at also are good so that we can have programming in conjunction with the brand to do with this. So let's see, we selected 1111 Creative Collective because of their innovation, their creative experience, their expertise, their enthusiasm in presenting to us, and recommendations from other cities and municipalities in LA.
The date is changed because we talked about kind of May, and
we did talk about a May date, but we haven't finished finalizing the contract. And not just 1111 Creative, but many of our consultants have other consulting projects. So we felt to delay it to September would be a better thing to do than to try to rush it into May. We thought it was important that the project be done after school started or before school ended. So September seems to be our next opportunity.
Projected date?
I'm sorry?
So it's not May?
No.
Okay.
So you know what part of September, because I really would like to be, of course that has nothing to do with the planning part, but personally I would love to be here, and I'm going to be in Georgia September 12th. I wanted to see if whatever you are anticipating, is it going to be before that or after?
We can certainly negotiate the best date. Currently we've just said September, so we're looking at the various weekends in September to see which one is the best one. But we'll definitely take into consideration what the commissioners' availability is, because we think it's critical that you be involved.
And you know that schools open up by the end of the August, so schools would be there already.
Yes, indeed, and we'll take that into consideration. Thank you for letting us know that could be problematic, but we'll definitely take into consideration all the schedules of the commissioners, because we do want your full participation.
I do appreciate that. Thanks.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you. Any questions regarding this specific?
Yeah.
Yes.
If I may ask, who are the principals in 1111? Anybody that we may know? Or
I believe one of the principals is here,
Oh,
and she can
okay.
introduce herself if she'd like to.
Oh, yeah. Welcome.
I wasn't prepared to speak, but thank you for having me. My name is Addie Gonzalez Renteria. I am one of the co-founders and executive director of 1111, a creative collective, and we are just so excited to get this going. And we're in the contract stages of this phase of the program, and we're just really looking forward to it. And as soon as we finalize a date, then we'll hit the ground running. We already have some thoughts on the logo design, and we already have a lot of things already in place. So once the contract is finalized, we'll get everything finalized and ready to present as soon as it's ready.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Any questions? All right.
Not yet.
All right, thank you very much. Next slide.
If there's no other discussion on that, I'll move on. The next project we have underway is the Plaza Series for the Brand Library and Art Center. It's a continuing program, very popular and interesting and fun program where various performing acts perform at the plaza in the front. This year we have a diverse lineup of music, performance, and dance genres. They're listed in your packet. Commissioners Dear Hovhannissian and Chair Sharikian were involved in the selection of those artists. About half are Glendale artists and half are not from Glendale, but we're happy about that diversity as well, because the artists from Glendale will add a sense of pride for us, and the ones that are not from Glendale will bring their audiences from other places in the region. There are 13 artists that are currently being reached right now, and we're juggling dates and making sure that we get the right artists on the right dates. So that series is going to continue just as it did last year, but with new and exciting artists.
Well, on that one, I would like to really thank Chuck and our staff, because it is such a hard work to listen to so many different forms and genres of music, and then to be able to select and collect and have 13 finalized. Our staff, and specifically Chuck White, they had categorized all of them. They had given all the specific details. They made life so much easier for us when we got together to make a decision, because everything was so clear and so clarified. They went through so many different, it's not just looking at pictures. They have to listen to the music and to the variety of what each one of them that they had put their files there to be able to give us a taste of what we were making a choice of. It was the first time that we had such a smooth and easy and actually fun time choosing the people for the plaza. And I'm sure that our community would love it too, because there was such a variety and diversity. Every aspect and detail of the issue was taken care of. So thank you again, Chuck, and our library expert in music. I always forget his first name. Yes, Blair, who is an expert in music, and he's, I think, the god of music of the city of Glendale, I believe. Anyhow, so we had a great time. Thank you, and thank you. And community, come to those events because they're phenomenal.
Yes, I'd like to thank Chuck and Blair as well for their hard work in putting this together. There was a whole lot going on behind the scenes, and having it ready for the commissioners to just come in and do their job was really phenomenal.
All right, any questions regarding this specific program? Okay, next please.
The next one is the Beyond the Box program. It's our utility box program where muralists come in and create art in unexpected places around the city. It's a continuing program. This year, the neighborhood that we're focusing on is Kenyatta Boulevard, north of Glendale College and Kenneth Village. this year, we're going to have a community engagement element so that we can really get more excitement around this program, because it's really amazing, especially since this wave will be in a really suburban area, a lot of neighborhood opportunity for us to reach out to this community and let them know that we care about art and we care about their experiences here in Glendale. The committee that helped to select the artists for this time are Chair Sharikian and Commissioner Sahakian, and myself as staff. We selected all of the artists. Actually, we believe are really outstanding. We thought we had a really outstanding group of artists to choose from. We selected the ones that we thought were most appropriate for the environments that we'll be locating them in, and most interesting and most artistic. So they'll be installed on the 14th of May. There's a prep day on Friday the 13th for the artists to come in and prep, and then on the 14th they'll be installing their murals. Between 10 and 2 o'clock, staff will be present, and commissioners are invited to be present at the mural locations to assist the artists with any of their needs and to field questions from the public while the artists are working.
All right. Do you want to add something?
Sure. I'm looking forward to, the way the program is designed to create an event around the installation. I think that's a great way to approach it. I think it's a great area to include the new boxes going in. And we had to sit down and go through all the different pieces and have a coming of minds. But there's, diverse creative styles. There's diverse content messages in all the different boxes. So looking forward to seeing them throughout the community.
I have to. Okay.
Oh, thanks. I just have a question, and actually the photo that's up there right now, this was in our packet. Is that one of the ones that had sustained some sort of damage, or is that a new one? Because it's really similar to one that's existing.
No, that one's up on Pennsylvania, just below the 210 freeway. Has no damage to it whatsoever. There were two that did have some damage that were... the graffiti was taken off of them. So we're also on that day, we're going to have city staff repaint the finishing coat on that. There was one box that was run over by a car, and that one will be replaced. That's not listed on your packet, but those artists are also available. And then there was another one that we had to replace, and that box is going somewhere else too.
So the one that I was, right, it isn't actually that one. There's one in our packet that is beyond the first 10. I think it's the last one in the packet, and that was the one that I think is on Chevy Chase currently. I just want to make sure I'm...
The last real one should be the fish, I think.
Okay.
The color.
Because Grandpa Chocho's going in, the fish is the one that was run over. And then we actually had two alternates. And this year, we also had alternates for the performance series, and we thought, well, let's thank them and acknowledge them as alternates. And it turns out that one of the alternates needed to be slotted in at a particular site. So we found another box.
This last one, I'm pretty sure exists on Chevy Chase.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
She has a similar style, so that's hers also. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, because there were so many that came in. Obviously, I wasn't on the selection committee, but because it's so similar, I really thought it was the same one, and it was just one of the ones that has sustained damage. So I guess maybe my question is for my fellow commissioners that were on the committee, if that similarity was taken into consideration.
Well, I want to talk about general process first, if you don't mind, and I will answer that at the same time. Considering that we had over 70 applications submission?
Pushing 100. We have about 90 people, but there were 100 different.
Yes, and multiple entries we had. When I was going through, first of all, is the quality of the work that I've seen this time around, and I was around for the last 3 selections, I saw that there is a lot more art than just presentation, A. 2, the diversity of the work, the type of the work that I've seen from different culture, different background, different artists, and that gave us opportunity to select a lot more easier. And some of the artworks represent certain style, although we try to stay away from a lot of writings because we had a lot of art with a lot of writings in it. We had selected maybe just one because it really looked completely an artwork more than just a writing. What refers to the last picture, I don't even remember if we put it as an alternate, if I remember right. The number 14 or number 13. Am I right?
Right. It would have been the.
She wasn't in the first.
Sure. She wasn't in the first batch. She was right next.
Yes. So go ahead.
And if I can explain how that one got selected, there is one utility box that is so close to a resident's home that it looks like it's a part of the home. So I went out to her to speak to her, personally and make sure that she was okay with us coming out to paint something that we'd actually be touching her property at that point. And she looked through the submissions that we had, and that's the one that she chose as most compatible with her residence, and I agreed. So that's kind of how that artist got back off the alternate list and onto the main list.
In fact, I want to add something into this process too. This time around, we had so much good artwork. I mean, the quality of the artworks. What I would suggest is keep those applications in the batch, in a case somewhere that we can reuse them again next time around. Because next time around, we know that we're going to have another probably 100 or 200 people applying for this mural program, the box program. But this time around, they were so good quality that I don't know if we can figure out somehow to reapply them again, resubmit them again. I'm afraid that we might lose some good artwork.
My opinion on that, though, is that artists have an opportunity to reapply later, and they wouldn't have to recreate it. So rather than giving favoritism to folks, for when new people want to be coming on, but I'm still, I guess the question it's calling forth to me is that in the future, when we're looking at the criteria by which we're considering what to accept in future rounds, that perhaps one of them has to do with repeated artists and another might have to do with repeated themes. Because if we have all of these great artworks coming in from Glendale and from the broader community, and we're starting to see some sort of repetition, or we're not feeling challenged in some way, and we're not challenging our community to see things differently, we're not giving more opportunity, that is, that's a little bit concerning to me. So I'm just thinking that there might be a criteria to consider in the future.
I understand, and that's so noted. I just wanted to add, too, to Commissioner Sharikian's comments that we had so much great art, and a lot of it wasn't necessarily the best work artistically, but the best fit for the neighborhood. Like I said, this is up Kenyatta Avenue, highly residential, single-family residence, lots of children. So we wanted to make sure that the art that we chose was something that children might be walking by on their way to school, or parents could talk or engage with their children about, things that may not have been as edgy or even disturbing as things that we might locate downtown. So that was another part of how we chose. But your comments are very well taken, that perhaps we should consider whether or not to have repeated artists and whether or not to have repeated. So we'll definitely hold that over for our next conversation.
You consider this the location of each piece before the art is selected? Is that the process?
We considered the neighborhood. The way this is done is in waves of a neighborhood, so that we can focus all of our resources in the same place, and so that we can get have more impact as a collective in the same place. So we selected them considering that Kenyatta Avenue, where the boxes will be located, they're all pretty close to each other, is just a really, really residential area.
Right. And I had one more quick. Right. And why is it that this time we had more quality art, do you think? Was the call out to the community better or somehow different? And do you have any take on that?
I'd like to think our call to artists was upgraded. We did submit our call to artists to literally hundreds of entities. Thank you to Yvonne Martinez on staff who did that. We called our friends, we called our contacts, we sent to arts organizations, to schools, to all individuals that we knew about who might know artists with this. And also the artists that had participated in the past came back. We had many, many repeat submissions. So I believe that it was because of the depth of outreach that we had such great art to choose from.
So we're going to keep up that outreach, yeah?
We absolutely are. Also, we can't take all the credit. I think utility box muraling is a trend that's picking up, and people are starting to see the ones that are on brand and see the ones that are on Honolulu and say, wow, this is a really great opportunity for me as artists. So we really want to reward those artists that participate by making a big deal out of this program, getting as much publicity as we can for each individual piece. We have an intern on staff that's going to be Instagramming the whole program as it gets started and goes. So we're really excited about what we can do now because of all this momentum.
I want to say I agree with you. You know, just those utility boxes were so popular in the community. Everybody talked about it. So now it's a famous thing. Everybody wants to be part of it. Before it was a new thing, an idea that was not really well explored. And also with the way you had public outreach and you tried to connect with different organizations, etc. As far as making whatever you choose, the choices made based on the community and the local, kind of matching the right thing. I really appreciate that. That's great. But yet I can see Commissioner Dever's point of view too, that what we give them, we are providing the opportunity for the community members or people within that community to make a choice of which one suits best for them. We need to be careful in what we are submitting to them. So from the choices that they have, hopefully it would be less of a repeat and the same theme and then whatever, we already have had before. So great that you guys consider the local issue and kind of whatever we have there would represent or would be welcomed by the community who live around it. Yes, our boxes are fabulous and everybody loves it now. In the future, I'm sure we are going to have much more applicants because of that.
And speaking of the future, the next neighborhood that we intend to engage would be along Glendale Avenue and Colorado Boulevard. So a really fun and evolving neighborhood that's highly dense with population. We think it's an opportunity to have some really fun boxes in that area. So looking forward to that.
One other thing I wanted to mention, I'm so grateful that there will be a time slot in which staff and folks, volunteers, can be with the artists, because I know that was one of the things that came back in terms of feedback and different artists having different needs or challenges or things that came up. So thanks for that. I appreciate it.
And the city's graffiti abatement specialist will also be on hand that day. He'll be going from box to box to ensure that the artists have all the materials and all the equipment that they need. If someone needs a ladder or if someone needs an umbrella or whatever, we can quickly fulfill those needs. So we have a full team working on this, and we're excited about that.
One thing I'd like to add as well, being my first time on this committee, I think it would be good to bring back, after this wave of boxes are done, kind of a policy process discussion, and so we can figure out some of these policies that we probably haven't had a chance to discuss. Because one of the challenges was that some of the pieces, for example, you're judging based on what it looks like on paper, and you got to imagine what it's going to be when it's actually fully done. And so you'll run into situations where they do a great job of illustrating the concept, but some of the work does not quite look ready to go on the box. So you kind of are dealing with a situation where if there was that opportunity to have a conversation with the artist, perhaps it could be modified or presented or discussed. But we're judging on they present the work, and it is what it is on that moment once you see it. So whether that means we go back and provide them feedback after this round of maybe why they were not selected, or some things that they may want to consider in the future, or that becomes something that we want to change the process in the future.
Well, that's a good point and well taken, because some of the art that we did receive was not submitted in the format that we asked for. And we did ding artists that didn't follow our instructions because we were afraid that they may not conform to the situation in the field. So that is a good idea that we go back to those artists and let them know how important it is to submit to the specification.
Excellent idea.
On that thought, too, it might be, as we have projects like this, our programs that become, they go on for a while, we gather more information, having something outside of the commission meeting where artists who are interested have an opportunity to come and ask questions and kind of vet the process, sort of almost like a public art training in some way, might be helpful.
Or even a pre-bid conversation where they come before they have the opportunity to bid, and we can just orient them. So, yeah, those are all things that are good and we should do. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Any other comments or questions? All right, and next item.
Okay, well, next but not least, I think is one of the most important projects that we're working on. It is the Public Art Master Plan. We have recruited consultants nationwide to bid on presenting our Public Art Master Plan to us. We received 4 submissions. We think we received 3 very good ones, and of the 4 that we received, staff read them all and recommended this one, which is the submission from Community Arts Resources and Barbara Goldstein and Associates. It's a partnership. The reason that staff felt that this proposal was superior was because of the experience of all the team members. Community Arts Resources is renowned in community engagement through arts. Their members were the founders of Ciclavia, which is just a wildly successful public program. They have members that have experience with Santa Monica Festival and many other major public art activities throughout Southern California. Their partner, Barbara Goldstein Associates, is considered the foremost expert on public art master planning, specifically policy development and policy-driven documentation, which is what we hope to get as a result of this. We're hoping to walk away with a document that we can follow. Ms. Goldstein did the Public Art Master Plan for Pasadena, for Las Vegas, and she did the update to the Public Art Master Plan for Pittsburgh, which has one of the most innovative public art programs in the country. She's also the 2015 Fellow for Stanford University's Distinguished Career Institute for her work as a Public Art Master Planner. She served as the Public Art Director as staff for the public art programs for Seattle and San Jose. So she really understands public art master planning from inside and out and has significant municipal experience. So we felt that this partnership was, we think 3 of them were highly capable, but we thought this one was clearly superior. So that's just information that we'd like to give the commission at this time.
At this point, I would like to open it, probably comments first and then questions and discussion if we would like to do. So therefore, anybody who has anything to say, now it's time to probably say it.
I mean, there's a lot to say, but...
Well, let me start at a small thing if you guys want to do. I've read almost, not completely through, but I've looked over and there are some challenges in front of me that when I come to selecting certain firm to a certain task. In our process, we had some type of time limit to end or to present this master plan at the end of our, in December or November. That was my understanding. Based on that, and the time frame that we have from now or May till end of November, roughly about 7 or 8 months, is it doable? Is it feasible to have a master plan process? That's number one question. One of the firm, which I just going to show the cover, it seemed like they had within the time frame. I like the process of it, the way they established every month what to do a to-do list. But at the same time, I liked also, and I have questions regarding this submission, which had a longer plan, almost a year and a half. We will see the end result in 2017, sometime late summer. So this is one of the things that I want to bring it up as a schedule and time frame. Do we wait a year and a half to establish a master plan, or do we want an answer within time frame that we decided on? Number one. Number two, there are a lot of information in those presentations that reflects the vision of the community and where we're going to head. So therefore, our job is only not to advise them, but also listen the public, to have a feedback from them, and also to write down each proposition and listen to them carefully, because we're going to represent the whole public. So therefore, this process is not very complicated, but it's a time-needing process. So based on those minimum, those two elements, which one is doable to keep it within our frame, which is the end of November, or take our time and wait a year and a half, but then we will have a much deeper, longer process, but we will have a affirmative plan that will make sure that it will work. This is as an opening statement. I want to put it out there. Anybody else?
Just a comment on that, probably the time in which it takes to go through just even the contracting process is going to probably cut our time if we want to, hoping to end by December, regardless of what the presented timelines are in here. So just from that standpoint. And I have a lot of other comments
yes,
too,
of course.
but
We need to start somewhere, so...
let's
Yeah, well, I would say, I mean, I looked thoroughly through these. I would say probably there's two of them that really stood out, and this one that you selected by cars is probably the one that's the standout in terms of what they're planning on delivering. But I guess my question is, I mean, you may not have an answer to this, but for instance, this woman, Barbara, what's her name? Goldstein. I mean, how it seems like almost all the players, all the people involved are cars. What would be her involvement? What is the partnership looking like? You know, and for the kind of budget we presented, she seems to be really, really a high-profile person. And I'm wondering what would be her connection to the whole process. Do you have an insight into that at all?
Well, we haven't interviewed the firms yet, and that would be a good question in an interview. However, I did speak briefly with the principal that wrote the cover letter, and his anecdotal take was that the CARS organization is the closest to Los Angeles, closest to Glendale, and knows the city and knows the culture better. But Barbara Goldstein has the municipal experience and the real understanding of how cities work and how ordinances and all the policy works, so that she would be advising on that part of it. And this was just a very informal conversation, but I do think that that's the type of thing that we would ask if we were to bring them into interview.
Well, it seems like we would like to get her innovative ideas part of the process also, if we select this one, obviously, not just her municipal, how to dot your I, cross your T, or whatever that business, right?
Well, she's like I said, she's one of the foremost people in public art master planning. She's actually written a book about public art master planning, and I do think she's got a lot of innovative ideas. So I loved that I saw this partnership come together. Not only a company that is really renowned in Los Angeles with really important projects here in the LA region, but also a foremost expert internationally on public art master.
Can I dovetail onto that comment? Because that was one of the questions that I had, and I was looking at their budget and looking at the prior work examples from Barbara Goldstein and projects like in Pasadena, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas. Las Vegas was an update, so that wasn't
upgrade, right?
Yeah, but the other ones were like $80,000 contracts for those public art master plans. And then looking at her component of their proposed budget is about $8,500, which says to me that she's in there in name and probably as an advisor to give them some feedback, give them some ideas, be available for research. She's probably not going to be writing it. She's probably obviously not going to be involved in any of the community input process, which is a huge component of what CARS does, and certainly a huge component of the proposal, which is great. But also going back to your timeline question, I kept reading through the detail of that seemed almost, I mean, it's great, but almost too much in some ways, where I would rather see the expertise of Barbara Goldstein and what she's bringing to the table in terms of her knowledge of other communities and policy and ordinances and things that will support this structure, and even going to, we have talked a lot about permanent art pieces and where they might go, but what do we need to have there physically, and the structure for that, which she would probably have a lot more experience, because there's this much more temporary festival-based outreach. So I guess it's just a long way of saying I absolutely agree that is a really key question about what the actual deliverable is and who's signing off and whose time we're buying, and how that maybe can be moved around a little bit potentially.
And I just add that we wrote this RFP in somewhat of a vacuum. I mean, we're writing an RFP to deliver a plan to us to tell us what to do. So basically, we had to figure out how to ask someone to tell us what to do in the right way. And in all the proposals, they proposed things that we didn't necessarily ask for, and that's good because we clearly don't have that expertise. So I believe in the negotiation phases, if we do select a consultant, that we'll be able to negotiate a program and a process that we can all agree, no matter who we select.
I mean, I think what I can propose, going to Jupiter, right? But what you have to kind of look at is what they've done in the past,
exactly.
Right? I mean, that's the critical thing. And just coming back to this particular proposal, what CARS has done doesn't excite me. If Barbara Agostin wasn't part of this proposal, I'm not sure if this would be a really strong proposal or not, because what CARS has done is much more, let's say, what everybody else kind of does. It's not very innovative in that term, in that sense, that I think we are looking for that kind of innovative kind of approach to transform our city.
Well, I mean, I think we also have to keep in mind that we're not looking for public artists. We're looking for a public art master plan. So in terms of innovation, we need somebody who can innovate policy, not necessarily innovate art. So
I have something to add on that one, too.
It's an approach, right?
Yes.
I mean,
right.
How do you approach it? It's all about your attitude towards how you're going to make this thing happen. If you're just going to rely on what you already done in the past, then it's one thing. But if you're trying to innovate, trying to find something new, a different way, it's something else, then it's a different thing. So,
in my opinion, this job is probably the hardest job, because they're going to try to put together a group of artists, visionaries, put a vision, and then submit that to us so we can have an idea where we're going to head. Second is they're trying to put a process for us together and also explain us, okay, based on the geography location of Glendale, based on the surrounding city, based on what we have in city, the parks, the public buildings, the public spaces, the art surrounding our neighborhood, what kind of public master plan we're going to put in place. So yes, they need to have some very well organization skills to put this together, to listen to the public, to listen to the artists, and also invite artists that they are in public art, so that we can listen to them, we can get their ideas. So at the end of the report of 6 months or 8 months, we're going to have a document, maybe a 5-year or 7-year or 10-year plan, a plan that will evolve at the same time, and not only what to do, but also to experiment and have a vision during this time. So it's important for us to pick or choose a firm that has all those understanding. I don't know how we're going to do this, but I'm hoping that the recommendation and other elements come in place and we can compare, maybe listen to them, I don't know. But we need to get more resource, more information about each company or each presentation, so we can make a better decision for the next step.
The way I see it, it's one is we are talking about the structure, the other one we are talking about the content. But a content could be what we would like to see is what is going to kind of dictate the structure as well. It's kind of which one comes first and which one comes next. So both of the issues discussed here are major. Yes, they have done organizational stuff very well, but as far as content, it's these commissioners who are very much involved with this kind of a project. They have their concerns. So we need to make sure that we talk further about this and we take more time into evaluating. And if need be, maybe we could have a little meeting, a little retreat even for us, just to make sure exactly what we are looking for. So accordingly, then we could choose one of the 4 that we have here. Because all the concerns mentioned are really important.
I think one thing I'd add also is I think as Commissioner Deaver said, there's a lot of importance in the community feedback phase of this, and I think we have to make a judgment call on if we move too quickly with the project, if we go with a very short timeline, whoever the provider may be, we need to make sure that there's ample time to be promoting the community meetings, making sure we're getting enough constituent groups out to them, and having enough volume there to get feedback. I think we had a community forum on public art, I believe at the end of last year, and I think we all heard a lot of feedback from that forum, and we saw that there's a lot of opinions out there, and I think it's important that we schedule out enough so that we actually have very good, strong attendance at all those, and all the opinions that are so important to us are going to be considered.
One thing that caught my eye in that proposal, which I thought first was sort of interesting, but also kind of called some things into question for me, was one of the concepts of the outreach was the mural component and bringing in an artist to, or I think it was mural or signpost, I can't remember the word at the moment suddenly, but I thought it was interesting because calling that out, I was like, oh, we're going to do this, that'll be one of the first things we do. The immediate thing I thought of is like, well, can we? How easy is it to coordinate with our commercial entities to provide the space in order to paint or present this advertisement about the outreach, when that's actually one of our challenges, I think, is bringing in the commercial entities or finding the spaces, or do we have an ordinance that allows us to have that type of stuff even put up to begin with? And so it just thought it was an innovative idea that they threw out there, but then I thought, but see, that's actually part of the problem, is we don't even know if we can do that, and that's what we're asking you to help us with. So I have to admit that did jump out at me.
Chicken or the egg.
Yeah, and on top of it, that wasn't even actually part of the budget. If you look really closely, that is out of the scope of budget a little bit, but they were certainly more in the scope of the budget than than some of the others. But I guess, just to try not to kind of continue to go on and on about things from my standpoint, I thought that there were two that got to the core of it, this certainly being one of them, and then there was one other that I like, and if it were me, I would like to call both of those groups in and have the conversation. One was way out of budget, and in order to get into budget, I think they were actually cutting back on the community outreach, which is problematic. So it's like they went too far one way, and the others went too far the other way, and who can bring something into the middle, I was also curious in terms of the outreach, if we're talking about questions that might be presented in a future phase. A lot of the things here, I think, in order to really get community input, I think the kind of tactical urbanism and things that the one group brings to the table, and in order to attract people and get their input, it doesn't take into case language barriers, cultural barriers, things like that. So I think that's a really important question across the board. It's a very diverse community, and how they're going to be approaching that, because one of the things was going to be an online tool as just one of the supplemental ways, which I thought was, that's really cool. And I thought, will that really bring out anybody that wouldn't come to a meeting to begin with? I don't know. I don't know what the stats are on that. So I was curious about that. And then also curious about cultural asset mapping as a component. Might be completely out of the scope of the price, but to what extent that might come into their deliverables, and then just getting a better understanding of what the actual deliverables will be and the actionability of those deliverables.
I think one thing to keep in mind too is that we determined a budget of $50,000 and a calendar based on some averages and some things that we thought. We could come to the conclusion, or you could come to the conclusion as a commission, that you'd like to broaden the project in some ways, or that you'd like to go back out and look for other consultants. I think, but in this process that we've had so far, we have had delivered to us 3 good proposals, and we could easily have them come in and talk to us about their approach, and that could inform our next step as well.
Could I ask Commissioner Deaver, which were the two?
The two that spoke to me in terms of experience and the feeling like they really got what we were asking was that, and the Do Art and Team.
Which one?
Do Art and Team.
Oh. The last. These two?
Yeah, those two.
And yours too.
Yeah, those are, I thought.
Go ahead, Cindy.
No, what I was going to suggest in terms of moving forward is I'm hearing a lot of questions, so probably the next step would be to interview either all of them or the top 3 or the top 2. In the past, at a meeting, we've selected 2 commissioners to be part of a process, and we can't do that because that's not an action item on the agenda today. But we could rely on the chair to appoint 2 people at a later date, or we could rely on the chair to serve on the interview panel if that's what you would choose to do. But as I say, what I'm hearing are too many questions that we can't make a recommendation today, and that you really, and as Sharon said, I think if there is a need to think about raising the budget, that's perfectly fine, and we can bring that back to the next meeting if that's the way it plays out.
May I add something regarding the budget? I think within the frame that we have assigned the $50,000, it's something we can reach to our goal within that budget. But what I would like to see is the firm or the artist or the person who's going to do this work has to have some type of experience beyond just Glendale, Southern California, and more, nationwide, maybe internationally. So we have an idea about certain comparison, what they've done in Lyon, in France, or South Africa. If we have an idea of different community, not only necessarily just California, then we can have that expertise will bring a value in our process, because then we will become one of the well-known master plan instead of being just a local type of master plan. And that's what I'm looking at. I want to see a person that qualifies with that type of vision and not necessarily just a local vision. That's what I want to bring it up.
Well, could I say something?
Yes, you may.
Well, I might have a little bit of concern on that, even though I like international and global, but we are starting something here, and we want to make sure that we get the content and the quality, something that befits our community. Our community connects to it. That's the idea of a master plan. Then later on, hopefully in the future, as we go on and on, we'll find out what happens in Lyon, France, and etc., or all over the world. But let us start from our community and closer to our community, and then go on beyond, because that would make more sense. We want our people to be happy, to be relating to whatever they see, while it is innovative, while we have so many great artists, like we have some on the panel here sitting, that they can make suggestions to make it vibrant and make it innovative, and they can follow us. We don't need to follow what happens elsewhere, maybe. Let's start from within. My concern would be, let's start from within, and yes, we would need time to discuss this, to look over this, to have them to come and present. It made a big difference when for the Open Studio Tour, we had the people there and they talked to us. They gave us the right vibration of what happens. It's not only words here, because people have great writers and they like beautiful presentations. We need to see who they are and what is going to be offered.
Yes.
So just in terms of process, are we able to narrow it down to eliminate any that we are not considering at this moment, or?
I think what you can certainly do at this meeting is provide feedback and give staff direction to follow up with some, but you cannot make a selection at this time.
So why wouldn't the whole commission hear the interview or be part of the interview?
You can do that, but we would need to have it during a Brown Acted agendized meeting that's open and accessible to the public.
Or Commissioner Shurikian can appoint 2 committee members to do it where it's not necessarily public.
And I will tell you now that I won't do it now.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems such a critical part of our next 10 years. It seems that we should go forward and I don't know. I would definitely like to be part of it if nobody else wants to be. Then I'd be the only one. But I think everybody probably wants to be part of the process, and we should make that happen.
I agree with you. I think this is so important. This is not a small project that 2 of us should be there. Of course, there's more experts sitting here. Some of us are more experienced in that, and some of us less. But it would be great if it's not too time-consuming, or it is possible and doable. If we could have, with the Brown Act issue and with everything properly made, that the whole commission would sit on this and they would hear the presentations would make a decision.
As staff, I absolutely agree that all 5 commissioners should be involved, if possible, in this selection process. And what I would offer as staff is that we'll get you as far as we can, just like with the performance series, with as much information as possible, dissect through these proposals and break it down for you as much as we can, so that you're as informed as you can be when you come in to interview the consultants.
Do we do those interviews at this meeting or another meeting?
We can certainly schedule a special meeting to do that. If the full commission's going to hear it, then we can certainly schedule a special
and
meeting.
with one agenda, which is the interviews only, we can discuss that matter.
The one thing that we'd have to take into consideration is that there is a general policy direction to have all commission meetings televised, and that may be somewhat problematic if what you're doing is just having a discussion with various individuals. And so I don't know if the city manager's office would like to grant you an exception from that. I mean, there's a lot that goes into planning a special meeting, and it looks like if you're scheduling 4 of them, 4 different vendors, and not all of them may occur on the same day, that could be somewhat onerous from a planning perspective. We can certainly look into it, and we can make that determination, understanding that that's the direction that you want to go into. So I think we'll try to make it work, but we can't necessarily assure that will in fact take place. So I think we'll work with the chair in determining whether or not a special meeting can take place, or if this item will come back to you during your next general meeting, and what the additional requirements would be from a televised perspective.
I would suggest
she has.
Sorry. I raised my hand. Kidding. No, I just my 2 cents on that. Reiterating, I think, from my opinion, that there were 2 of them that are worthwhile actually spending that kind of time with, and a couple that really just I don't think are up to par for what we're asking for in terms of their experience. So I would just encourage that we not go through the process of doing all 4, possibly even all 3 of them, frankly. And I personally, as invested as I am in this, I would also feel comfortable if it makes more sense to have a couple of committee members have the informal, or not informal, but the formal interview process where people aren't feeling kind of on the spot. I'm on television. How do I answer this? And then having maybe those 2 also maybe just do a presentation for us, as I think we've had happen in the past. No, actually at a meeting. I think we've had in the past, where especially if it's just a couple where they're just doing a presentation so we have a better understanding of their background and such. Or if it's the final choice, and having that final choice come back and do a presentation so we can at least decide as a commission if we are comfortable with the decision that the committee made. Just some iterative process in that way that's not too terribly cumbersome. That would be my 2 cents on that.
Could I ask clarification? Do I understand right? So you think that we should have in 2 steps: first, to make a choice, but maybe not all of us part of it, to get them to the 2 finalists, and then the 2 finalists would be kind of presenting to the whole commission. Was I right?
I was, no, and I was sort of changing it as I spoke, so that's why it's a little confusing. I do that sometimes, thinking out loud. So I think if it were, say, 2 that were being interviewed more in depth, and then the finalist coming and doing a presentation so that everybody's comfortable with the choice and with the information that were provided, probably in writing or as part of a report, of what the findings were of that initial in-person private interview process.
So for clarification, Commissioner Deaver, you're suggesting that there be a committee to interview 2 finalists and then have the final recommended selection present in front of the full commission.
Well, with that, I would say that the commission is already put in a spot, because it's only one person there who comes and does the presentation. And if you are not very comfortable with the choice or decision, kind of it makes it a little bit harder on everyone, both the people who are sitting here and the person. If it would be limited to the last 2, I can understand that it would not be cumbersome, because the group or the smaller committee will process all 4 and choose the 2, and the finalists would come. That would take less time, maybe. And we have also done retreats as well. We have for the work plan, it was publicized, it was 72 hours, put for the public, etc., but there was no TV on that one. And we met and we discussed, and public was welcome to come and participate in that meeting too. I don't know what is the legal ramifications, but anything that works would do. But at least we need to see the last two for the commission as a whole to decide on the last 2 and not the last one that is kind of makes a decision.
The only comment on that is we will, like I said, we will take your wishes to the city manager's office and see if that's something that we could do, is waive the televised portion of the meeting.
Yeah, I would also highly recommend like a retreat we had in to do on the work on the work plan, right, or at Cindy's office, right?
Yeah,
the conference room.
I don't want to raise expectations. That was a very special exception that was made by the city manager's office, so we really would be relying on them to give us the okay for that.
I think the best process would be to have that kind of a meeting where it's informal, everybody's involved, we can sit around the table and speak and talk, not in this very formal fashion, with the 2 of the top proposals, and then after that we can select one, and that top proposal can come and do a public presentation about what they're going to do. That would be my suggestion.
So all 5 of us would be on that meeting till the final one is decided, and the final one would come and present it to the public, not to us, because it's already has been. Okay, sounds good.
Yes.
I like that.
I'm just going to ask you.
I just want to make sure that we don't raise your expectations to thinking that that's what will occur. There's a very specific purpose behind the Brown Act in the decision that the City Council made in having commission meetings televised. It's to engage the public as much as possible. And so those types of exceptions are rarely granted. So you want to keep that in mind in determining the participation level of every commissioner at each phase of the process. That not only adds to the work plan, but getting everyone's calendars to work, getting everything to work out becomes somewhat difficult. I think from staff's perspective, we've heard your desire, and we'll try to make it work as best as we can. But we can't make any representations at this meeting until we've had an opportunity to discuss it with the city manager's office.
I definitely agree with you. And in my mind, there are no decision taking behind doors. In my mind, every decision is open in front of our public. And that's what I'm going to stand my standards. And I am going to be transparent as much as I can and 100%, so the public is aware what I'm saying regarding every item of this package. If it takes 2 or 3 months, be it. But it's the public right to know all those details, 1. 2, assigning to commissioners to fasten the program a little bit, that might help us, but not necessarily is the final decision. So we can expedite things, but not. So I would agree that if I can assign or delegate to commissions to review all those things, maybe sit down and talk with them and come up with recommendations too, then we can discuss in the public more detail, because there are some criteria that not all of them have met. And based on our request, some of them, they have not put it in the project. So therefore, yes, we can review them and put them on the side, and then the 2 best will come up here to the meeting and we can discuss them again. And we'll have a presentation, yes, I mean, by them or the artist or not. So I think those packages, they have enough information to make a decision by us. But if we need to go furthermore, be it, then we'll postpone or we'll wait another month and we'll have them to come and discuss again.
So do I get it right? So first the small committee is going to make a decision on all the packets, and then the final 2 will come to the commission for all 5,
I think that will be a good solution. I'm not going to say the best, but that might have a good solution. Everybody on the same page?
Committee to review all 4 proposals?
Review,
Review or
whatever.
interview
Both.
the actual
I mean,
organizations?
Whichever. I will leave that decision to make by those two commissioners who are on that body, with maybe a staff member too. That will be very good. And if it takes more than 4 weeks, be it, then we'll leave for next meeting. I mean, this is a serious decision we want to take, and this is a important one.
And certainly the part where we're talking about the interview process, that's just one aspect of the selection. So the opportunity to speak with staff who's done the interviews, submit questions to staff so that they could ask the questions that you would otherwise have. All of those are just different aspects of the selection process, and so we would certainly encourage all of that. But perhaps the part where individual commissioners are involved in every level is what would be discouraged, just from a practical streamlining perspective.
Okay, and I think we are all on the same page, are we?
So could we help the chair by nominating people for that commission, or it should be only the chair by himself?
No, I'm
decide?
sorry. That would not, because then you would be taking action. You'd be coming to collective concurrence. So we would allow the chair to make that decision.
Now I'm on the spot.
I wanted to help him out.
Well, okay. Fine.
Just for my clarification, are we asking Chair Sharikian to make those determinations now, or can he do that in between meetings?
He could do that at a later time.
Okay.
Outside of a meeting.
All right. Thank you.
So just for clarification, the way staff will follow up is that we'll follow up with Chair Sharikian to see which two commissioners he's nominated. Those two commissioners will design a process to narrow down the field, and anticipating that the two finalists would come and present in front of the full commission.
Excellent.
Sounds good. Okay. I think we had enough discussion for this matter. Can we go next one? Okay, next item. Pop-up arts, please.
Pop-up arts, a more fun topic. Pop-up arts are
We're going to do that in Glendale? We're going to bring rain. We're going to bring rain to Glendale? Oh, that'll be hot.
That is the rain room. That is currently at LACMA. But the reason I put that picture up there is because the City of Glendale Economic Development is designing a tech week to happen in early fall. And staff felt that having our pop-up arts coincide with the tech week could be really just a fantastic project. So we would like to get together with the two commissioners who are assigned to this committee and discuss how we could potentially contribute to this tech week with pop-up arts. So we have scheduled a study session for May, and Commissioner Oshigan and Commissioner Deaver will attend that session, and we'll talk about how we can infuse art technology into this tech week and really maximize with some really fun activities for the whole city.
Good. Any questions, comments? Okay, sounds good. Next item.
The next project that is on your docket is temporary art in public spaces. We have not began this project because we feel that it's a very important one. It could be a potentially very expensive one, and it requires a lot of expertise. So we're hoping that the Public Art Master Plan will incorporate some of our needs for temporary art in public spaces or advise us on that. So that one is being held over for the plan.
I have a question regarding this specific program. Were we looking for a firm again, like the master plan, or we were looking for artists?
We may. The Public Art Master Plan will inform and advise us on that. Temporary art in public spaces can be large, it can be small, it can be indoor, outdoor. There's just so many different configurations of it. We just know we want it. So
I don't like that question.
our opinion is that it's something that requires some expert study and recommendation.
Any questions? Temporary art in public space? All right, next item.
Next item is art in Adams Square Mini Park. After receiving some feedback on this program, we've revamped our call to artists, and we are about ready to publish that. It's in legal right now, being reviewed. We're aware of needing a community engagement component, and we're convening with Adams Hill neighborhood or homeowners association to discuss with them how they can get involved and how we can address their needs. We also are very concerned with what types of artists will respond to this program, our level of funding, et cetera. So we are redesigning this program or improving this program so it'll be better for the community that it serves closest.
Can you give us any time? When are we expecting this?
We're expecting the call to artists to be approved in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
And then once the call to artists is put out, then we'll start to, we can concurrently meet with the community. The call to artists is not the difficult part. It's really how to involve the community in an effective way that makes sense for them and makes sense for the city.
So by next meeting, we might have a better report?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Any questions?
I just want to remind everybody that the gas station project is not part of the Urban Art Fund. It's not part of your work plan. It's only being funded through the general fund of the Library Arts and Culture Department, and this funding is very limited. I know there's a lot of desire to expand this program, but the only way we could expand this program is if we incorporate it into your work plan. And that you might you will hold off for another discussion if you choose to expand that program.
Well, any comments?
So just a question on that, because that's something that I'm personally kind of interested in. So is that something that we can agendize in the future, or is that something we're looking at considering as part of the next iteration of the plan, or what?
Yeah, no, you can agendize it in the future, and then we'd still have to bring it to City Council for approval as part of the Urban Art Fund request. But yes, at any time you can agendize that.
Okay, and so I don't know if it's necessarily the appropriate time, but that would be something that I would look to our chair to consider, because I would like to see that on a future agenda coming up.
And finally, the final two projects that are being worked on, well, they're not being worked on, but they're a part of your work plan, are acquisition of permanent public art and murals on city-owned property. Again, we need policy guidance for those, so we're looking forward to the Public Art Master Plan to inform us on those projects. In the meantime, we've been working with Caltrans, and we've been talking to muralists and lots of public artists about some of these programs so that staff can be informed and involved just on a technology basis.
Questions of the permanent public art, doesn't that also involve some city agencies and things like that? Are those conversations happening, or are we just waiting for the master plan and then those will start?
Well, we're not specifically waiting for the master plan. We're starting to have those conversations. For example, retaining walls and underpasses and so on are owned by Caltrans. So we've been meeting with Caltrans to see what we need to do to update our ordinances so that when we do get our public art master plan, if it does recommend murals, that real estate will be available immediately. Other permanent public art could be medians, signs, statues, etc., and we have begun those discussions, and just as a part of staff's general knowledge about public art. But the second half is, yes, we are anticipating that the public art master plan will inform us on those. For example, intuitively, we believe that $4.5 million that's in the Urban Art Fund is enough to do some public art. But we really don't know what public art would cost, or the type of public art that we want, what it would cost, and what our installation real estate is. So all those things need to happen concurrently.
Any questions, comments?
Well, finally, for any more information on public art or to give any input on public art, I'd like to invite the public to contact me directly. Sharon Mann-Garrett, Principal, Library Arts and Culture Administrator. My telephone number is 818-937-7815. sgarrett@glendaleca.gov. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and next item on the agenda.
Item 6, Commission staff comments.
Okay, any comments? Recommendations?
I have a comment. I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Sahagian for being selected Man of the Year by the Glendale Business
Chamber of Commerce.
Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, congratulations. Well deserved.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And, I know some of you weren't able to make it, but the comments I made there are very true, and true to my heart. It's a credit to all the great people I get to work with, including everybody in this room here. So thank you all and appreciate the kind words.
Welcome. Any other comments?
Well, I would like to announce, basically, this is the week of Remembrance for the city of Glendale, and it is for I believe, Los Angeles in all, California, and if not, nationwide. It comes under different names, but this is the time that we do talk about man's inhumanity to man in different forms, and specifically because of this month, it is the Armenian genocide, which has happened 100 years ago, and still it's not resolved. It's an open wound, as we have the exhibit. We have great events, and we bring awareness to the community that we do not only mourn and suffer and hurt for what happened to Armenians, we hurt and talk about what happens all over the world. And tonight is a specific example of that we are going to have Man's Humanity event in collaboration city and the community of Week of Remembrance with the American Armenian Museum staff and our brand staff, and under the leadership of Cindy Cleary, we have put a wonderful event. We are going to have panel discussions, and we are going to talk about the refugee issues globally and in the community. So I would like to welcome everybody who wants to hear and connect and maybe act upon. Come to that event and be part of the communication and conversation, because it's going to be an open dialogue at the end. And then tomorrow we have at Alex Theater a major event happening. I would like to invite everybody to get their tickets and to be there. And on Saturday, we have at the Plaza the candlelight vigil. The community gets together for the commemorative events, and Sunday there is a big walk. So I would like to thank City of Glendale for being so open, so great, so diverse, to welcome community and to welcome the issues that happens in the world that is close to everybody's heart. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Any other comments? Yes.
On that note, I want to say I was quiet. We had a presentation earlier about the Armenian open wound. I was out of town during the opening, but I'm looking forward to seeing and experiencing that. The other thing I wanted to say, and it's a disappointment that we weren't able to get to one of the agenda items that was scheduled today, and I just want to encourage my fellow commissioners and the public to there was a meeting, I believe, on Tuesday of the Housing Authority City Council with regard to the ACE housing project, the artist project that's being built. And I'm just encouraging each of our commissioners to take a look at that, to talk to your council members that appointed each of you to get a full scope of what's happening and to... Yeah, I guess that's the point. And to the public, too, to just kind of pay attention to what's happening and perhaps make your opinions known.
Great idea to be involved. That's what we need to do.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Next item.
Item 7, written communications.
All right. And next item. The meeting is adjourned.